responsible day traders? Today is Monday, September 4th, 2023. I am Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So today was Labor Day, so it was only open until noon today, and then it reopened at 5. I am going to go ahead. I made a commitment to being with you guys here. So I know I wasn't here last week, but I didn't have the materials I needed in order to film. But we're here today, so that's what matters. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody that we do have our scholarship coming up. Our scholarship will be in October. We are now accepting applications. So it's for the full VIP course. That includes coaching, all the programs that we have under our belt. So you learn about the curriculum, you'd have access to the vault, you have access to coaching, you've got access to everything we've got. And so that'll be 2 that win that for a $10,000 value. And then we also have 2 that are going to be in our startup program. We've had lots of success with our startup program with those who already have an idea of how to read the market. They just need that little extra kick. So we wanted to be able to offer some startup programs and VIP, and that's coming up in October. If you look down below, you're going to be able to find a link in order to get started, or you just go to responsibledaytrading.com and the button is right there at the top. So you can fill out the form and we can learn a little bit about you and see if you're going to be one of our next VIP scholarship students. All right, guys, so let's talk about the market a little bit. Right now, what we have going on is we've had a nice, decent pullback in the price. We saw the possibility for this to happen and it did push back up. It gave a nice W pivot on the daily chart and moved back up. We're in a questionable space though right now. There's some things going on with the price bars and the MACDs that can indicate a little bit of up and down. And we're going to talk about that, about the different things that we see happening and what may influence us to look in a certain direction. First thing we want to do whenever we're starting our trading day is we do want to check news, because we want to see just what's out there. Obviously, if you didn't know, when noon hit today, you may have been kicked out of the market because it closed at that time. So paying attention to the news and what's going on is very vital. So let's go ahead, check out that news, and then we're going to check out the market. All right, so heading on over to responsibledaytrading.com, here you can see that you do have the opportunity to apply for the fall scholarship. You can just click that there, find out some more information about it, and fill out your form if you'd like. But we're going to head on over to news, and then we're going to head to the market news. So here you can see we had a holiday today. It did open at 5 o'clock yesterday, closed at noon today, reopened at 5 o'clock today, Central Time that is. We don't have any news tomorrow, and on Wednesday we can see that we do have some news at 8:45, so 15 minutes after the market opens, and some 30 minutes after the market opens. We've also got a little bit of news on Thursday. We've got some pre-market about an hour before the market opens and an hour and a half after the market opens, and nothing on Friday. So just knowing those can keep us in the right mindset and understanding why the market is moving the way it is. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of things. All right, so first things first, we did have this lovely move to the upside. We've been watching it for a while. It pulled right back into the EMAs. Gave an amazing reversal bar, pushed up, came down, and made a W pivot to move the market back to the upside. Now the MACDs have also moved back to the upside, but a couple things that we're noticing about the MACDs. First off, unless we spread this out really, really far, we notice we haven't really pulled away from the Bollinger Bands, which being right here around the 0 line could show us the potential for this to push back down. Something else that shows us the potential for it to push back down is something that we call retracement divergence. Now, if we look at how much this has moved from top to bottom and how much the price has pulled back, it's pulled back somewhere between that 61.8 and the 76.4%. So it's pulled back a pretty decent amount. Now, if we look at the MACDs and how much they have pulled back, we notice we've only seen about the 38% mark of the pullback. So typically with something like this, retracement divergence, we're going to expect the market to pay attention a little bit more to what the MACDs are telling us and see the possibility for this to at the very least, maybe slow and roll here and pull back. Some other things that are really taking my focus is the fact that we did have bit of what looks like a reversal bar here, and then we had a tiny, tiny little bar right there. Those tend to show us reasons for the market to move back to the downside when we have these tiny, tiny little bars or move back in the opposite direction. So when we see these tiny, tiny bars, it gives us some indication that it's running out of steam and we may see it push back down. So this is where it's a bit of a mixed bag. We do have the MACDs outside of the Bollinger Band still kind of moving to the upside. We are back above the EMAs that have strength to the upside. So we could see reasons for it to move up, but this may be a reason to see it at the very least pull back a little bit more, maybe back into these EMAs or all the way back towards this area, because as this larger EMA pulls to the upside, it gives us another area to pull back into as well. Now, if this was to roll down and pull back down into this area, typically it takes quite a few bars. We may see 1 or 2 big bars like this, but to get all the way back down here, it's going to take some work to get back down there. So what we like to do is pay attention to what's happening in the short and the long term in order to be able to play both sides. We can see that we do have back above everything. We do have it trying to show us more continuation to the upside, but we're really going to need to see this BB pick up the strength and move up further. Otherwise, if it starts to roll in, we may see this pull back down again quite a bit. Let's go ahead and look at the next chart, which is our 28,657. 28,657 also has direction to the upside. Even though we got back below the zero line, we're still inside of these EMAs. We'd need to get back below the EMAs, kind of like back in here, in order to shift the direction to the downside. And we haven't quite done that. We've pulled up, we've pulled back. We've got a little bit of what's trying to look like a wedge in this area. So we're going to want to pay attention to that, maybe hitting the top of that wedge and pushing back off of it. Now, something about the retracement divergence that is really attempting to happen here. We saw these purple BBs pull back and the price pulled back quite a bit more than the BBs. Currently, this BB on the 28,657 is blue. Now, it's 6:52 on a Tuesday night. So by tomorrow, this BB could definitely change. It could turn purple and roll inside and go off the zero line to the downside. Technically, we have made lower highs and lower lows through this area, but we still have the strength that we were experiencing prior in this move to the upside. These are more reasons why I don't use these larger charts to trade. I use them more or less to really gauge what is our longevity in this direction, or do we see it having the possibility to give us more short potentials or more long potentials. So let's move on over to the trading charts that we're working with. And right here, I've got the 10,946, the 1597, and the 233. Guys, all I use are Fibonacci numbers, and we use tick charts here. So we start this left to right. We read it like a book. So we're looking over here at the 10,946. Now, technically, the 10,946 shifted the direction to the downside when we got back below everything here, and it tried to shift back to the upside. And what do I mean by tried? Well, it got back above the zero line and it got back above the EMAs, but this is our first bar that pulled away from the EMAs. So not even this big long one, but the next one is our first bar that pulled away from the EMAs. We have not closed back above that bar. If this pushes up and closes back above this bar, then our direction has shifted to the upside, so long as these MACDs stay above as well. But right now, we see that little bit of a wishy-washy where it's moving above and below and above and below. So just letting it play itself out has so much value, okay? Right now, what we may see is the fact that we haven't pulled away from here and we're getting back below. So are these MACDs gonna roll and push to the downside? Right now, they're inside of the Bollinger Bands and they're above the zero line. So if they were to roll off here and push up and move up, we may expect the price to work with that as well. So this just may have been a little bit lower pivot to get us back below these areas in order to push back up. So we're gonna have to wait and watch and see. Right now, as I like to say, which I do get made fun of for saying this from time to time, but it's moving like molasses. because it is not a high peak time for this market to be moving. Can you trade these? Sure, if you really, really want, maybe put a 55 tick chart and a 233 and 610 and take it down really, really small. But even then, you can see the 233 is pretty much at a standstill as well. Coming back to the 1597. The 1597 did change its direction to the upside. We got back above the EMAs. We got back above the zero line. So we can see pulling away from the EMAs right in here, and the closes continued up. So it did shift the direction to the upside, but in the same breath, it shifted the direction right back to the downside. We pulled away from the EMAs, we got back below the zero line, so the direction shifted down. Typically, when we see this move above and below like we see here, we don't really want to use the EMAs as areas to create a bounce because they're weakened. These right here in particular are absolutely flat. So they're not giving us any signal as to whether this should be moving up or should be moving down. You can see the quicker term, this darker green one, is trying to pull away to the downside, but it's not going to take a lot for this to break through and push back up. Now we can see here on the 1597, it's making the attempt to break above the Bollinger Bands. We are way below the zero line. We did come off of some white BBs, but it hasn't broken above the Bollinger Band. And with something like 672 ticks or whatever it is at this time, you don't really want to trust that number just yet. We want to see as it gets closer and closer to that red color, which tells us we have 50 transactions left, in order to give us more information about, hey, this looks like it's got more of a chance to close in this direction as that tick counter counts down. On our 1597, the direction is down. So on all of our trading charts right now that we see right here, the direction is to the downside. Even getting back above here, we didn't pull away, still seeing direction to the downside. Now, if the distance between these BBs remains the same, we may see it push back up. But with seeing the fact that we had that retracement divergence so prominent here on the daily chart, I would really have anticipations of this at the very least giving a pullback into this area right in here. Now, it doesn't have to, but it looks like it's trying to give us that just pull back just a little bit, and we're really going to want to watch and see what these MACDs do on the daily chart. Now, with these EMAs still being just a little bit open to the upside, they do have a chance to break through it. But the distance below the zero line says more down. Being below the EMAs and having the direction down, the bias down on all of our trading charts tells us that there's a possibility of this pulling down first. Now, we never trade with the hopes that it's going to go in a certain direction. We want to see all the signals, the signs that tell us that it has a good chance to go in that direction. We did try and make this bit of a V pivot to the upside here, so maybe it's going to push through there and make its way back up. These are situations that are watch and wait. I mean, if we just look at the 10,946 over the last few days, look how big these bars are and how close they are together. That's going to cause a lot of confusion, and a lot of times what's happening here when it's doing these kind of things in these really, really long bars, it's getting back above and below and above and below on our smaller tick charts. So it may make you feel a little uncomfortable seeing these kind of things. So if you're not comfortable with what the trade is telling you, or if it's not giving you really strong signals in that direction, then it's best to sit out and wait. So all in all, my anticipations are for this to, at the very least, pull back down, maybe back down in here and give us some divergence of some sort before it does make the attempt to push back up. With the way the bars are looking on the daily chart, it's a little difficult to really think that it's still got the steam to the upside right now. But as I've said a million times, this market's going to do what it wants to do, and there's no stopping it. So just paying attention and being able to pick up those little crumbs along the way when we see signals that tell us that it's time to move with that anticipation until we see reasons for it to slow down and get out. All right, guys, that's going to wrap things up. One other thing, we also are releasing the NinjaTrader platform fundamentals in Spanish right now, and we are recreating all of our course in Spanish as well. So we're almost done. I know I've been talking about it for a very, very long time, but when I tell you we are so close to being done with the English side and the Spanish side is moving along so quickly, it's going at lightning speed these days. And I'm so grateful that we're going to be able to help so many more people. So that is going to be it. I hope that everybody has a wonderful week. Reach out to us, especially if you want to be part of the scholarship and you've got questions about it. We're happy to answer those and guide you in the right direction. All right, everybody have a wonderful week. Take it easy. Just breathe through things. I'm probably going to have Jason do next week's video because I'm going to be in Mexico. But I will see y'all soon. And as always, I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.